This is SEB, serving Europe's best.
Sigonella.
Serving Europe's best.
There's a certain sense about Europe that has always made it ageless and yet responsive to a special inner timing. For many Europeans, the 1980s ended with one ageless idea foremost in their thoughts: freedom. Always been central to Southern European broadcasting. In fact, SEB has embodied the spirit of freedom in Europe for 35 years. Join us now as we celebrate this tradition in our 35th anniversary special.
Hello, I'm Specialist Beau Bennett.
And I'm Specialist Teri Henderson.
Keeping our military audience informed has always been the #1 priority of Southern European broadcasting. At SEB, we believe the desire to be informed is something that dwells in the heart of every American service member today.
Especially now when the American military presence in Europe is shaped by political factors and constant movement. Since its beginning, Southern European Broadcasting has provided military members with complete and current news and information in order to ensure that our audience receives an objective point of view.
Now, at the time of our 35th anniversary, we invite you to join us in examining SEB's very beginning in Europe and our achievements of the past.
In the country of Italy, great works of art have always started with a great design. Designs that were created and judged by the most critical standards. At the SEB headquarters in Vicenza, Italy, our reputation for performance was also built on a great design, dedication and service to Americans working in the defense of freedom. It's 1955, and the newly formed Southern European Network moves into its temporary studios at Camp Darby, Livorno, just outside of Pisa. Previously known as the Blue Danube Network, SEN served the U.S. occupation forces in Austria before its relocation to Italy. While at Camp Darby, SEN operated a closed-circuit radio station. 3 months later, the station moved along with the entire Southern European Task Force to Camp Passalacqua in Verona. Working from the back of an Army deuce-and-a-half truck, live radio shows brought a little piece of America to the troops.
From Hollywood, it's time now for John Lund as Johnny Dollar.
We're ready on your call to Boston. Go ahead, please.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
SEN technicians built by hand their first radio transmitter with pieces of discarded equipment. Later, SEN moved into a shoe factory on the outskirts of Verona. The studios were made with old and new equipment from the Blue Danube Network. In 1967, SEN would make its final move to its current home at Caserma, Italy, inside the city limits of Vicenza.
You're listening to the Paul Fatir Show on SEN, American FM.
American Forces Radio.
Armed Forces Television hit the airwaves in Italy in 1976 as one of the first full-color television services in AFRTS. SEN TV started out as a closed-circuit station operating on a cable distribution system. Meanwhile, constant negotiations were taking place between AFRTS and the Italian government in the hopes of increasing SEN's radio coverage. Those discussions led to the permission for the station to operate live on the air on 106 and 107 FM under the newly named Southern European Broadcasting Service. Official recognition from the Italian government helped SEB Radio continue in its growing process. Today, the latest American hit music can be heard 24 hours a day on 106 FM.
Satellite music, the American way. On Power 106.
Moving up the dial to 107 FM, SEB gives its listeners live sports coverage directly from the States.
Sports on SEB. On Super 107.
From the back of an Army deuce and a half to its new spacious radio and TV studios in Vicenza, the SEB headquarters continues to serve American military members and their families in Southern Europe with news, information, and quality entertainment, keeping pace with today's technology and the needs of our audience like never before.
Movement, change, and the realization of dreams have highlighted the progress of the SEB headquarters over the years. This process set the stage for quality service to American military members stationed throughout the Italian peninsula.
And we derived the greatest possible benefits from our station at Camp Darby, Livorno. Not only did Camp Darby guide SEB's footsteps to northern Italy, it also joined the SEB network as our first affiliate station. The demand for broadcast services there proved just how enthusiastic our audience really was.
This is Camp Darby today, a community of some 2,500 soldiers, civilians, and dependents who make up a key communications and supply operation in central Italy. It's a far cry from the war-torn years of World War II, when the post was nothing more than tents erected as a staging area for assaults against German fortifications in the hills around Florence. After the war, the Americans called the newly created post Camp Darby, after the World War II commander of the first ever Ranger Battalion, Colonel William O. Darby. It was the beginning of the Southern European Task Force. The post would eventually become large enough to have its own radio and television station, SEB Livorno. When you consider that SEB Livorno first went on the air with radio in 1983 and now does its own newscasts, it's come a long way. In fact, Livorno viewers have only been able to watch TV since 1984. But the arrival of television didn't mean the work was finished. SEB Livorno launched itself into a dramatic 5-year upgrade project that might have left some Darby residents dizzy. First, SEB's engineers started out with radio, installing state-of-the-art equipment. But even the best turntables amount to little if the broadcast signal is too weak to reach your radio. So a new transmitter was installed that boosted both FM radio frequencies, 106 and 107, from a 250-watt trickle to 1,000 watts, enough power to follow listeners from Camp Darby all the way into their living rooms. After the radio upgrade, engineers moved over to the television department and started off by installing a new transmitter that brought with it an extra 800 watts of power. Livorno engineers also oversaw the installation of a satellite dish that made the old microwave signal a thing of the past. Equipment had to be installed in the SEB building, everything we'd need that would produce television products for and about Camp Darby. In May of 1989, the directive came down. SEB Livorno would go on the air with its own newscast for the first time at 6:32 p.m. on July 10th. The pace at SEB picked up, beginning with the insertion of local command information video posters. And then, on July 10th, 1989, for the first time in our affiliate's history, viewers watched a newscast originating from the studios of SEB Livorno. Last year, after only a few months on the air, the Army recognized Livorno's newscast as the best of 1989. The Army also presented the Broadcaster of the Year award and a first place in news and feature production to SEB Livorno staff members. The culmination of 5 years of hard work that went into giving you the service you deserve. For SEB, I'm Specialist Carl Hageman.
You know, someone once said that life is what happens to you while you're making other plans. Well, that was certainly the case in 1974 when the influences of our first affiliate station in Livorno caught on.
That's true. In fact, in 1974, as a surprise to everyone, the U.S. Army was appointed executive agent for all Armed Forces radio and television in Italy. That's when existing broadcast detachments of the Navy and Air Force joined the old SEB cable distribution system.
This tri-service partnership generated the creative dynamism that makes up SEB today. And one of the first affiliates to contribute to this relationship was SEB Naples.
The Naples affiliate of SEB was born in November of 1979 as 5 staffers crammed into a workspace in the NSA administration building. The small crew inserted a dozen hours of local radio shows into network programming already coming from the Vicenza headquarters. The TV side of the house sprang up just months later. In May of 1980, a closed-circuit system brought service to local barracks, and up to 65 hours of programming aired locally each week. But changes were the rule rather than the exception in the station's growth. In 1983, SEB's radio transmitters were moved and the power increased. Radio transmission is now more competitive with local stations. In 1984, the station moved to a new building near the base, and all operations were under one roof for the first time. Finally, early in 1985, low-power television broadcasts began, nearly 3 years after the necessary contracts were signed with host nation authorities. Months later, the AFRTS satellite network came online, bringing live news, sports, and information programs to Italy. Now more than ever, the military community in Naples has timely and pertinent command and world information at their fingertips. SEB Naples also serves more American military members from the local NATO community at Allied Forces Southern Europe. There, too, the mission of command information and entertainment is ever present. And with the largest audience in the SEB network, the Naples affiliate is looking for bigger and better things in our next 35 years.
Well, it didn't take long for other Navy installations in Italy to follow in the footsteps of SEB Naples. Their membership in the SEB family ensured that the majority of Navy audiences in Southern Europe received the best service possible.
In fact, it was full steam ahead for the expansion of Southern European broadcasting within the Navy. Broadcasting services previously limited to shipboard operations on Navy vessels moved ashore to selected sites along the Italian coast.
Born in May 1978 as a low-power broadcast television system, broadcasting AFRTS material from a converted van to a small naval air facility, SEB Sigonella has grown with our community into a modern two-story complex that serves a self-sufficient two-base naval air station. Progressing to an FM radio and UHF-TV broadcasting station in the early 1980s, and linking with the AFRTS worldwide satellite service in June 1985. Moving into our present complex of offices and radio and television studios in December 1986, SEB Sigonella is a key factor in tying an 8,000-person community spread out over 2 bases and 3 housing areas into a single, close-knit community. We provide the Sigonella community with 3 daily live radio shows and a daily local newscast, Monday through Friday. The TV news crew is in close contact with over 48 tenant commands, 44 clubs, organizations, and a host of dependents as they report the news of 2 bases. Personable news anchors relate stories featuring local interviews and television footage of community members. Each broadcast day, SEB Sigonella airs video information pages to keep the community aware of what is happening at both bases. This video bulletin board, maintained by the Continuity Department, is an essential tool in keeping the public up to date on current events. SEB Sigonella's production department produces a monthly half-hour television feature show, On Target, that focuses on community activities, services, and various command operations. The department also creates professionally produced local radio and television information spots to communicate with Sigonella in a direct, innovative manner. Radio, news, continuity, and production are the 4 cornerstones on which the mission of SEB Sigonella is based. And these 4 cornerstones are built upon a firm foundation, the engineering staff. Throughout the last year and a half, tremendous upgrades have been made with a complete rewiring of the station. The bottom line is an improved product for Sigonella. Quality, professionalism, and one-to-one communication with our large and diverse audience is a constant challenge that SEB Sigonella meets every day.
Your Mediterranean connection to the world.
The next Navy affiliate to move ashore was SEB La Maddalena. Located in the blue waters of the Mediterranean, across the bay from Club Med, SEB La Mad is one of the Navy's choice assignments.
SEB La Maddalena serves the military community from its location on the far side of the island, not far from the home of Italy's national hero, Giuseppe Garibaldi. SEB came to La Maddalena 15 years ago with radio feeds on land lines, then broadcast through a transmitter located on the tender, keeping the local audience informed when the tender was out at sea, highlighted the need for shore-based facilities. So, in 1981, Navy Broadcasting Service established a local detachment responsible for television programming at 4 locations throughout the area. In 1984, SEB and Navy Broadcasting got together and grounded radio and television on the island of La Maddalena. 6 months later, we moved into our present building, and we continue to improve. As we enter the 90s, a new spirit of cooperation and support with the tender, Navy Support Office, and SEB holds great promise for expanded productions, greater interpersonal actions, as well as new experiences and challenges.
And of course, the Navy wasn't the only military service to contribute to the capabilities and potential of the young SEB network.
Capitalizing on the accumulated broadcast experience of many years in Italy, SEB welcomed 2 Air Force broadcasting outlets to its geographical management in 1974.
From that point forward, because of the strength and stability this new association provided, SEB tackled goals and challenges like never before.
Leading the way in this new conglomeration were the Air Force affiliate stations in San Vito and Comiso.
Southern European Broadcasting, San Vito, began with nothing more than a letter written in 1961 asking permission to run a closed-circuit radio station with volunteers as radio personalities. Though that letter was the seed that planted the idea, actual radio broadcasts did not begin until 1966, when the sounds of the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and up-and-coming groups dominated the airwaves. No one had ever said that running radio would be easy, and in 1969, the Southern European Network, as it was then called, went silent for 4 days because of political disputes. Diplomats in Rome resolved the differences, and music once again filled the airwaves. Oddly enough, before radio even began, the San Vito community wanted television. It would be years before TV became a reality. In the 70s, SEB TV was a luxury limited to the families that lived on San Vito Air Station. Then, in 1984, satellite television arrived. Programs now originated in Vicenza and were broadcast in San Vito. The following year, San Vito established a television signal that would allow off-base viewers to receive SEB. This signal is transmitted throughout the San Vito viewing area and services more than 3,000 Americans in southern Italy. From 1974 until today, San Vito has seen changes in the appearance of the base and the local community. SEB San Vito has kept up with the changes and the never-ending modernization of equipment. From San Vito, I'm Airman Kimberly Mattina.
At home with SEB.
SEB at Comiso Air Station, Sicily, provides broadcast radio and television programming service to the units and community associated with the 487th Tactical Missile Wing and the Ground-Launched Cruise Missile Mission. SEB Comiso inaugurated service July 23, 1983, as a radio relay service, transmitting radio programs originating at the network key station in Vicenza. In a year's time, however, the Comiso community had a station it could call its own, with local radio programs tailored to its information and entertainment needs. A rotating staff of temporary duty broadcasters accomplished this early service from within the confines of 2 Navy mobile broadcast facilities, or Connex units. Affectionately known as the dumpsters, the Connex facilities were placed in the dusty surroundings of Comiso's inactive runway. SEB Comiso grew along with the base and in late 1985 increased services with alternate programming on FM 107. The broadcast operation also switched to a more permanent temporary refuge in Building T4, a temporary structure shared with 3 other organizations. SEB Television at Comiso first cracked the airwaves June 20th, 1987, using a passive microwave system to relay TV programming from the SEB affiliate at Sigonella. It was another milestone in the continuing improvement of service to the Comiso audience and was a reflection of the expanding and dynamic services of the SEB network. Today, SEB Comiso offers the same full measure of radio services as other SEB affiliate stations. Television service blossomed and now includes video news coverage of the Comiso community, its activities, and events.
SEB entered the 1980s with a progressive vision. With advanced technology and equipment, ideas began to take shape and formed into the sophisticated broadcast network we have today.
And the arrival of broadcast television proved to be SEB's most demanding technical challenge to date. From 1975 to 1983, SEB negotiated with the Italian government for permission to broadcast television over the air to U.S. military audiences in Italy. This was an effort to replace the outdated cable distribution system then in use.
Broadcast television made quite a change in the way we served our audience. It also substantially increased our audiences around the entire Mediterranean area.
American Forces television history in Italy dates back to 1976, when the Southern European Network initiated a closed-circuit color service to a limited U.S. Forces audience. In fact, it wasn't until the 80s that the dream of full broadcast TV would materialize. It began in 1983 with a contract between SEB and the state-owned Radio Televisione Italiana, calling for the installation, maintenance, and operation of television transmitters in Vicenza, Livorno, Naples, Gaeta, Sigonella, La Maddalena, Aviano, and San Vito. Then followed almost 2 years of long, hard work before the magic moment on 15 July 1985, when then U.S. Ambassador to Italy, the Honorable Maxwell Rabb, turned Southern Europe on to SEB, as the first true satellite network in the history of AFRTS was born. Of course, Italy beamed with SEB's ability to provide up-to-the-minute stateside programming, but that ability also drew recognition elsewhere.
Starting today, U.S. Armed Forces personnel stationed in Italy begin seeing today.
That's terrific.
On a regular
That's
basis.
Terrific.
Yes, we are the evening news for our Armed Forces personnel in Italy right now. Naples, San Vito, Vicenza, and Sigonella.
Thousands of fans out there. That sounds good enough to me.
So we welcome them.
Direct broadcast television with affiliate breakaway time is what set SEB apart from other AFRTS networks and continues to be the formula that allows SEB to best fulfill the AFRTS mission to inform first, then to entertain. Today, with satellite receive dishes sprinkled throughout the Italian peninsula, SEB reaches over 95% of its potential audience of over 65,000. SEB is also the station to watch for Americans in Spain, Saudi Arabia, the Sinai, Pakistan, and the United Arab Emirates. But by no means is SEB standing still. The planned move of Air Force units from Torrejón Air Base, Spain to Crotone Air Base in Italy will add an 8th affiliate to the network while increasing the audience by almost 20%. Programming improvements as a result of automation will better integrate command internal information with top-notch news, entertainment, and public affairs shows from the States. In addition, production equipment upgrades have placed SEB's TV imagery where it belongs, in the 1990s. So as SEB marches on to the turn of the century, nothing will be left undone to ensure it meets its stated goal of providing quality communications to its customers, the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Department of Defense civilians working for freedom in Southern Europe.
You know, to me, the very notion of military broadcasting stirs nostalgia. However, when you're riding on the momentum that makes up Southern European broadcasting today, sometimes the last thing on your mind is a look at the past.
You're right. Even though the achievements of SEB's past are reflected today, our commitment is to the future. Keeping our audience informed now is more important than ever.
History has taught us that the unrestricted flow of news and command information is critical to our military audience.
And as the wind of freedom embraces more of Europe each day, we look to the future as an ideal time to push forward with new technologies to bring SEB radio and television to every American in Southern Europe, serving in freedom's cause.
Thanks for joining us in our salute to Southern European Broadcasting's 35th anniversary.
The past 35 years have set the stage for a whole new era in service to our audience in Southern Europe, and Americans everywhere are part of our success.
Now, on behalf of Specialist Teri Henderson and the entire SEB Network staff, I'm Specialist Beau Bennett, wishing you the best in 1990 and beyond.
taxes.